Thank you so much. This is always such an honor for us to be here, and I want to do a shout out to General Coatings too for sponsoring this and for helping. That Ryan and Will worked with me to get a lot of great contractors. So I wanted to say thank you, and also Coatings Coffee Shop. So you will be able, we are going to be recording this, and you'll be able to find this on Coatings Coffee Shop later on. So if you have to leave early for a plane or anything, just know we're going to have it out there for you. So, shall we get started, gentlemen? Okay, let's go. This is basically, we have questions that we're going to go through that were put together ahead of time, but we would like to have everyone feel very comfortable in asking questions as we go. So if you have a question, we're having a great conversation, you're like, wait a minute, don't leave that topic yet, just raise your hand, and we will be doing it as we go along. So I'm very interactive. And we're going to start with some introductions. So I would like to start with Rod. If you could introduce yourself and talk about your company.
Right. My name is Rod Petrick from Reachworth Roofing Company in Frankfort, Illinois. Frankfort is a suburb southwest of the Loop, but we handle commercial, industrial, institutional work, no residential, and we're primarily an old work contractor. As I was stated earlier in Tracy's thing, I don't like chasing general contractors to try to get paid. So the few guys we work with are guys that we've had long-term relationships that go back to when my dad owned the company. I'm in a unique position. I now have a boss. My son bought the company about 1.5 years ago, so he lets me come out and do some of these. But we are a full-service contractor. We do have a designated service department. But then we handle maintenance, repairs. We do coating work. But we'll also on coal tar pitch roof systems. We still have a couple consultants in our area that like specifying, and it's slowly but surely, I think, going to be out of the market. But, we do a little bit of everything.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you for being here, Rod. This is really, these gentlemen all traveled in here to be here, so I can't say thank you enough. Sean.
Sean Morgan. I'm with K-Coast Roofing and Waterproofing out of Dallas. We do about 60% remedial, 40% new construction. We also have a separate service department. We run about 25 trucks. The coatings falls under our waterproofing division just because of their experience with spraying and rolling material. We do about $100 million a year in revenue. Our residential arm may do about $24-25 million this year.
Thank you so much. And Mark.
I can't compare these two guys, but I started 18 years ago, and then when I started, I named the business Ballman Roofing and Coating because I knew the coating industry was up and coming and bringing out a lot better products. We have about 40 employees down by Mankato, Minnesota. We do probably 80% or more re-roof situations, some new construction. We have a service department, metal department, and the coating department. The coating department is my biggest pet. Ryan and Chris know that it's one that it thrills me to be in the coating industry. We've developed specialized equipment in order to take a lot of the guesswork out of installations, and putting them down properly. From what I've been hearing, the biggest problem in the industry is the application. Well, try to take the guesswork out.
That's good. Funny story. I'm first meeting Mark for the first time today, and we had someone step out, and I Googled roof coatings Minneapolis. On roofing right there, and I'm like, ooh, okay. And so Chris and Ryan were like, how'd you find him? I Googled him, so great job on your mark sheet. And last but certainly not least, Greg.
Yeah, I'm Greg Hayes, work for family business, Falls Sheet Metal. We're based out of Rice Lake, Wisconsin. My wife hired fifth generation in business. Yeah, I guess I'm the guy with the least amount of experience and the least amount of hair, so I'm the other dog. But we specialize in, our business has commercial, residential HVAC. We do standing seam, architectural, metal roofing, commercial and residential, single ply. We got connected with Ryan about a year ago and really started getting into coatings. The big need in our area, and I've been trying to get the right education in the right place to bring that into the business, and Ryan's been a key part about that. But yeah, kind of do a little bit of everything. We've been in business for a long time, so most of our work is with existing customers, and yeah.
Really excited to have you here. And this is on purpose. All the different sizes of the companies, different age, everything is on purpose because we want to get in diverse answers and really be able to kind of look at all sides of it for you and your businesses. So we're going to start with some questions. And the first one is really just to kind of get to understand everybody's business up here. Some of it you guys have already said, but let's start with you, Rod. If you can share how roof coatings are a part of your business model, what percentage of coatings are spray applied versus manually applied, and what coatings do you use and what are your preferred systems?
So, percentage of business, I would say our coating runs between 10 and 15% of our total package. When we go out to look at a project, we look at selling as a good, better, best situation. So go out, assess, are we going over an existing metal roof? Is it a single ply, BUR? And do the assessment and then come back. Because if you ask your customer, what is your budget in this? And they don't want to know, they don't want us to know what the budget is first. They want to see what numbers we're coming back with. And we go out and sell them that way. And then the same thing when we're doing our assessment, we decide, acrylics or silicone seem to be the two big horses for us. When I go back, as somebody was asking me the other day, I go back to knowing the old clay-based emulsions that you would put out on a three-knot brush. Ooh. And, asphalt coal-tar saturants, and a lot. And we used to buy pallets of aluminum coatings by the truckload for all our smooth surface mod bit work that went on into Chicago. So we do a little bit of everything. We try to spray when it's possible. Our Sharon Mark, though, I looked at a Lexus dealer and wanted to know why I wouldn't spray. Porsche, Mercedes, not simple. But we look at it. It is a viable part of our business. I think Mark had said it earlier. As I've grown in, I've been doing this for 50 years now. His coatings seem to be just something that was out there, and you've seen the industry, the most technically advanced piece of the entire roofing industry of coating guys have really stepped up and brought excellent products to the market.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And who's your preferred vendor for you coatings-wise?
What we've done is we backed up when we count on a relationship, and we go back to the one rep firm. We use them a lot. We let them come out and make the decision with the pull-offs and that. And but our horse right now, we use Carnet.
Great, thank you. Mark, same thing. How roof coatings are part of your business model? What spray applied, manual, and then who's your preferred vendor? Manufacturer.
My memory is bad, so almost. We typically have we've used a couple of different manufacturers over the years. The last probably 5 or 6 years has been 838. It's handy for us. They're right south metro of the Twin Cities. They've got very knowledgeable people, a lot of information, a lot of help. Determining how we go about our processes of the analysis, going out and checking to see what's best fit for the customer, what type of building, whether it's restaurant where they use silicone, any flat roof, we really prefer any type of urethane. And on the metal roofs, it's acrylic. Probably this year is 15% of our volume. It went from last year being about 5% of our volume for our business up to 15%. if everything goes right in 2025, that's probably going to jump up to 20%. But I guess
that's it. That's good. No, that's good. Great. Do you want me to repeat it again real quick?
Oh, I got it.
You got it. Okay. Perfect.
So rough coatings kind of came in for us based on the type of buildings that we have in our area. Again, located in Northwest Wisconsin, we have a lot of low slope metal roofs. We have a lot of storage facilities, commercial, manufacturing plants, and of course they're building a 5,000 to 1,000 plus square foot facility. They're looking upfront costs, and most of the time it's a low slope metal. But we're getting to the point where we're starting to see some of those systems fail. That's where I've had an urge to get started with coatings. I guess the reason why we picked the coatings was solely based on that. We do have single ply membrane metal roofing as well, but very much like he said, it's a good, better, best approach for us. Sometimes an EPDM retrofit isn't always budgetable for a customer on the size of some of these buildings that we're doing. So to be able to offer an equivalent manufacturer-back warranted roof and significantly less cost, that's really kind of our good, better, best approach to it. And it's not a good, better, best approach as far as quality goes. We deal exclusively with Entry, primarily Ryan's my direct contact for that, but when I introduce it to a customer, and the good, better, best isn't, well, this roofing system's okay, this roofing system's better, and this roofing system's the best. It's more based on budget for our area. All the projects that we've been able to do with coatings, we've been able to offer that equal manufacturer-backed warranty. So as far as our single ply versus, retrofit versus the coatings, they're really kind of apples to apples with that. As far as percentage applied goes, I would say we're probably being as new as we are. We're probably somewhere in the 10 to 15% of the total squares that we apply annually is coatings. We've been fortunate to pick up some fairly sizable jobs in our first year. Most of it would be spray, of course. That's our ideal method. It just kind of takes some of the guesswork out, especially with training guys and stuff like that. But we have had some opportunities where we've been able to apply coatings roll or manually applied, and yeah,
that's great. No, that's excellent. Thank you so much, Sean.
For us, like I said, coatings is part of our waterproofing department. It's a big area of growth for our company right now. Coatings is probably about 5% of that, so we'll do a couple million feet a year, square feet. It is an area of growth for us. We see the upside for sure. We're about 90% silicone. I will do some acrylics if it's a metal roof that has plenty of slope. I just don't want to take the chance. And our labor is so much better with silicones. I could put down all the mills I need one pass. So that's how we look at it. As far as who we use, I used to be a coatings rep for United Coatings back in the day. So they're out of business. Or they got purchased by GAF now, I guess. But we don't use a lot of their products. We have used a lot of Everest's, Everroof, Gecko, even some Henry. When we have an asphalt emulsion job, we will use the Henry coatings. So not really married to anybody, but we'll support whoever wants to start a relationship with us. She has a question.
Yes, how do you recoat those silicone jobs? What do you with recoat?
With silicone. Now, we've heard that the core actually has a primer that will stick to silicone. You go back over the silicone with anything you want. We haven't seen that yet. Apparently they rolled it out at World of Concrete. Who was that? Pecora. 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 They're on the East Coast. I think those come in. Yeah, is that right? We heard that they have this primer that's going to be able to stick to silicone and go back over with anything you want. We'll see. But right now, a silicone is a 20-year roof, so we haven't recoated any of those yet. This is our 20th year of business, so that's kind of our mix.
Okay. Let's move right back, Sean. I'm going to go to you on what do you see, and you kind of started down this road, but what do you see with the state of the coatings industry today, and what would you like to see change?
Let's see. Our big growth in coatings happened, when material shortage happened with single ply. It was an option that we could offer because we could get the material and still get a 20-year ADL warranty. So I think that's when our business really kicked off. I'm sure it's the same for the manufacturing side. But what I'm seeing now in my market specifically, I don't know about these gentlemen up here, but I can do a 60 mil TPO recover with a cover board for $6. So it's right in line with coatings now. So I think we got to look at how competitive we are. I have 9 outside salespeople, and it's easy for them to go sell a reavers because that's what they typically do. We have to educate them on coatings and show them the benefits of a coating. We spray about 70% of the time. Same thing as rod. It totally depends on the situation. If I don't want to paint cars or something, we're going to roll it, but we try to spray most of the jobs. So I'm interested to see how competitive we're going to be going forward with single ply out getting just as economic as coating.
Yeah, that's interesting. Great.
The state of the coatings industry today, I definitely see that there's this kind of upward trend for it in our area. Again, I know everybody's kind of from a little different area here, a different kind of region based on population as well, I would think. But in our area, there's not a whole lot of education for it. You had hit on it as well. I think the biggest thing that the coatings industry can do is maybe kind of trying to get the bad taste out of some people's pulse from, years past, 10, 20 plus years ago. Our climate, we get, of course, winter time, and winter's to be pretty harsh. So the expenditure and contraction capabilities, I know that the chemicals and the products that we use have come a long ways with that. And so really just basically customer education, some advertising, just getting it out there, I think would be the biggest thing that would help us in the area to help turn some of those customers that maybe had a bad experience from 10, 20 plus years ago on some of them.
A lot of them still think you're just painting the roof. Yeah, that's the education part.
Yeah, that's what I hear all the time too. Is I don't want paint on a roof, and they don't understand. Ryan as the chemist, he can talk molecules and this, and it's pretty easy for him to understand it. But a lot of times we're dealing with people that are have no knowledge at all in the products that we're applying, and that goes to single ply as well. It's just I think that the education and that stability has maybe been there longer than it has for the coating. So being able to educate customers and really kind of sell them on the product is one of the largest hurdles that we have.
We have a question like that.
Hey, Eric, when you say customers, who are you referring to? Who do we need to help educate that are the set of customers?
Well, in our area, we're very rural. So we're not the Chick-fil-A model, we're the food truck model. So I had conversations with Tracy when we were down in Schonenberg about that, and he told me, I don't really know if Chick-fil-A's for us. But we, we're dealing with, but part of this is we're also seeing a big change in that. I would say it's going to be those larger corporations, and not meeting with, the presidents or the CEOs or managers. It's meeting with the facility maintenance managers and getting them to understand what coatings are now.
Building owners.
Yeah, building owners, but further than that, it's we have some large customers and really dealing with their head of maintenance. They're the ones that have somewhat of a technical background, that have maybe been there for several re-roofs on areas of their buildings, and maybe have been there for new construction projects, additions, stuff like that. So they're the ones with the most education on it. They're also the hardest ones to get to understand that things are different. But once you do that, I've even gone as far as saying, well, you just give me the opportunity. If you got curbs on a metal roof that are leaking, actually, one of my guys, Paul, is dealing with that right now. We gave a proposal to do probably 2,000 square foot roof that they have all their curbs are mechanical metal. And so I said, well, let me go on. Let's see how it goes, and then next year we can talk about it. So that's some of the challenges that I'm having to deal with that. But it's definitely got to be whoever that person is in charge of maintenance, the contractors contact that person, and sometimes that's the building owner, but most of the time on large projects, it's going to be their head of maintenance.
For me, the customer is going to be my estimators and salespeople. You got to change habits, years of habits. I've got a dozen estimators that have over 20 years of experience. How do you change their habits, their mindset? I can educate the building owner. That's our job. That's my sales team's job. But I need somebody to come educate our team, our estimators, our salespeople. I can preach to them all day. But when they're in their office, the door club's doing an estimate, the first person they're going to call is Carla. That's who they always use. So how do we change those habits? How do we get them in the habit of thinking about coatings? That's who we have to educate in my market.
Mark, let's go with what you think about the state of the industry and what you like to see change, but then also mention who your customers.
We again, we're somewhat like you. We're rural, but Mankato is a few miles away, large city. So the customer base is very diverse. For education, I agree with everybody 100%. The contractors trying to do all the education, unless you're really well versed and just focused on doing that, you can have that. But you're going back to your estimators that are 20 years experience and such, you still need that upper level introductory type thing, which got to come from the manufacturers, because they're going to ask some of the oddest questions, and some of it is chemical makeup. And again, I'll use Ryan because Ryan is a chemist, and he's been with us when we've had that question asked. What is actually in that material? And once Ryan got about 15 minutes into every little molecule of it, the guy goes, okay, yeah. But it needs to go above that, though. The BOMA, Building Order Manufacturers Associations, need to have the manufacturers get involved with them, get in front of all of those people up on a mass audience with that type of backing at BOMA and some of these other companies, the associations out there. That's got to start at that level. So by the time it gets down to some of us, we are having to do such an upsell all the time, lose the opportunity because Joe Blow that's got a tail like warranty is going to come in and smoke you right out of the deal. That's the other thing that needs to change is the Roofing Contractors Association, or the manufacturers need to somehow get together, form the group, and whatever manufacturers are out there trying to set up shingling people, painters, on doing commercial work, that's going to destroy. Again, it's going to go back to what you were saying. Years back, 20 years ago, everybody's like, yeah, I heard the coating guys come up in Texas or Arkansas or Mississippi. If they slap paint on, they're gone, and then everything goes to hell. That's some of the stuff that we've had to work through. But as an organization, you need to stop those companies from destroying the market. And that's what they're doing. I mean, you get a shingler, a painter, they have no clue on how to prep a commercial roof. Know what to look for details that need repairs, wet treated insulation. They have no clue. They're going to go up there and go, God, 40,000 square foot job. Good, $6, and then they're just going to call it. We've been on projects where, the roof coatings fail from somebody else. Like, okay, number one, did they wash it? No. Did they detail any of the facets or seams? No. Well, it looks like they put down about half a gallon a square. Said it was probably watered down extra from that. And a year later, we get a bad name because that type of application was going on. I mean, you guys are going to love this. So we probably are the largest roof coating contractor in the state of Minnesota. I'll say that. So, grew up on a farm, down in Mankato, a dairy farm. My brother's still on the farm. About a month ago, he has this hillbilly from somewhere comes up and says, I'll coat both of those metal roofs. $10,000. And he's like, no, I got a brother that's in the industry. He'd kill me. After he's talking for a few minutes, he goes down to $5,000. Another one of my brothers show up. My boys, 2 girls, the family. Another brother shows up and he's like, well, what do you got? Well, we're going to quote these 2 bills. Tell you what, $2,500. And my brother's like, I just want to look good for a year. My brother's going to kill me. Go ahead. The stuff that I'm out there, I know, wow, the roofs really look nice. Yeah. So he hits him with an upcharge of like $500 because of what? I don't know what it was. And he said, well, they use this certain brand name product. I won't use it here, but it's just nice. How about you, they take 10, 15 gallon, throw in a drum, and then they dump a bunch of water in there to make more money. So I'm sure those guys made really good money that day. I sit there and go, what do I tell people? I'm one of the biggest quoting contractors. If my own brother doesn't use it. I know.
Sounds like a family situation. Why?
I'll add one thing. You made a valid point about getting with these associations and groups, but the other key thing I think is getting with architects and getting them to spec products for it. I just was working on a bid for, it was a low slope metal roof, and they wanted an EPDM retrofit. And as soon as I threw the idea even at the architect, they just totally dismissed it and said, no, we're not interested in it. But I'm on the single ply side of stuff. Our guys are going out there, and we're Carlisle exclusive, but those guys are going out there, and they have, architects that are working with other architects and getting them to spec Carlisle to be installed on there. And when you do that, there's also contractor requirements. So I think it's going to do 2 things. It's going to help get the product spec as an option, but not only that, it's going to weed out some of the guys that he's referencing, because you have to meet certain requirements, insurance, experience. You got to be able to supply, certificates saying that you can install this. And I think that would be a great educational piece to get architects on board with some of this stuff as well.
Roof coat consultant also.
Yeah.
Consultants yet.
Yes.
In our market, the consultants mostly write the reverse specification. Now, usually guys get in their specs as well. Yeah. You had mentioned also the aspect of being able to do a retrofit for $6 a square foot because of the labor market and such. The other thing, they talk about a retrofit or just a recover.
Recover or a...
Gentlemen, be a little bit careful about not talking about pricing. So, I mean, I know that just doing it, but let's be careful. I'm back away from that.
What the other thing that we did is when I first started 18 years ago, I had 2 big contractors on my back door. I was like, all right, got to figure out how are you going to outsmite the competition, but be better. You want to be the best at it. So we started, we're the only one in our area that we know of that we go up and do a roof repair for service work. We put a 2-year warranty on that repair. That thing fails for whatever reason, we own it. We pay for it to be repaired at them. And again, with the roof coatings, it's like, okay, everybody does the same applications, just like a commercial roof system. If you're specifying a rubber ballast or a fully geared roof, TPO rubber, whatever it is, everybody thinks the same way. I've always had to think outside the box, and I've taught my people also, don't think like everybody else. Figure out a better solution for the customer. One of the other things that we've done is if we do a re-rub, and it's a manufacturer, it's a restaurant, anywhere where there's a higher level of split fall system situation inside, we used a bunch of the 30 details. They double up the curb corners, do double pipe wraps. Scuppers do double corners also. Double up those. You're there anyhow. It's going to cost you maybe $2,000 depending on the roofs. But you $6,000 or $8,000 higher than your competitor. If you're explaining why I'm doing something better for you, I'm doing this for you, not for me, and the cost associated with it, you're selling more opportunities that way. Going back to the labor end of it, the one thing that we did is we designed a roof coating machine that I showed the guys up here before. It's got 4 tips that spans 8 foot. It's got a warm drive powered by electricity at 110 volt. You speed it up, slow it up, depending on the manufacturer's warranty, mill thickness guidelines, that type of thing. The other thing that does is it takes the human air out of it. But we've seen, even on the worst metal roads, 3-inch, like a bumper style metal panel, everybody's using, from what I've been hearing, is 15 to 20% waste factor. We're under 5%. The labor end of it, we only have a hard seal, so our guys don't really want to track the hours as well. But the labor savings has got to be, it's got to be 30% per month. So,
okay. I think we're coming back to that too. We're going to talk more about that when we get to the technology and some of those things. So, Rod, state of the industry.
What was the question?
I know. The state of the industry, and what would you like to see change?
Well, we look at it as the coating technologies improved, and that it's a big growth piece for us. That's the way we're looking at it. That we can do built up modified single ply. In our market, the people that I'm competing against, they're not looking at the coating, so we're quietly embracing it to look to move forward. And you kind of what Mark says, you have to kind of differentiate yourself from your competitor. And if they want to keep bidding re-roofs with TPO, and I guess I can price that, but I can look at something else. We're talking customers before. We do a lot of work with Archdiocese Chicago and Joliet. They're spaced out, depending geographically. Well, I can tell you, the architects from the Archdiocese of Chicago, they know 2 systems. You're either going to put pitch on, and maybe you'll put modified on. And trying to get them is, you'll tell them, hey, you guys wrote a pitch spec, and this thing's got 412 slope. How do you want me to keep the cold power off on there? And it's almost like we'll bring them in, and my local contractor will help us. We'll go in and do like the box lunch. Guys, you have to learn. And we're finding that, if we can take those things, because the Archdiocese of Chicago is one of the biggest property owners in Chicago. So they've got a lot of buildings, and they use a limited contractor base because you need to be certified to people that they like to specify. But then I've also got commercial real estate guys that buy distressed shopping centers. They run anywhere from 10,000 to 150,000 feet. They're buying them to some of the main word there is distress. So you're already into a building that's probably lack maintenance for not just 1 or 2 years, probably 10. Like, they're putting money to try to get these places facelift. And when you go in there and say, well, yeah, we need to tear the roof off, and we're at this dollar number there. So we get more creative, and getting them to understand the coating market, it was a little bit of a push up the hill. But now they say, hey, what can you do? Can you give me something that me to hear? Can I get this building turned around and start creating revenue? Then we can do something and move forward. So we look at it that way. But Mark and I were talking about it earlier. Big industrial areas for us surround Midway Airport and O'Hare. But down in that Midway Airport, 15, 20 years ago, they had a contractor come from out of state, and he did a hell of a job spraying aluminum coating on gravel roofs. Well, talk about walking in, you get the call, you go in and see a potential new client. They are already in a pretty bad mood. And for a long time, that was something to overcome. And the problem is there's still guys, and I talked about it earlier, the painters, about anybody else, they can go buy some coating, and they don't understand the waterproofing piece that has to go in to get the roofs to where we need to go to be able to successfully put a coating system on with a warranty and move forward. So I think a lot of it's going to be education on. I think I look at that becomes my responsibility to teach my client or potential client. And sometimes it'd be nice to get, and I have to say our rep in Chicago is very, very, working with us, because he knows if we're going to sell the job, he's going to get a job, and if it moves forward. But trying to get those people educated and move forward. And I look at it too as training for our guys, because we're always trying, and especially we get into the winter climate, we got training rate within our signatory contract. Is I bring guys in, and we found out you can't train safety all day because the guys after lunch get kind of glossed over. So we usually try to bring manufacturers either in the morning or in the afternoon and do some safety stuff, but then do some manufacturing. Either an update or somebody new that's trying to work with us, bring it in, show the guys. And the guys, they seem to appreciate that more because no matter what we do, those are the guys that have to make it happen for us every day.
To that point, Rod, and I think this is going to be straightforward, but when you are looking at products, we're going to mostly coatings, but this go across all of your products and roofing systems. What's the protocol that you use to select? What are some of the defining systems that go along with selecting your product manager? All right, manufacturers.
Dartboard.
Oh, dartboard.
There you go. I gotta get you. We mandatorily go IELTS. I have competitors now that they tell, oh no, you can just Google Earth it, you don't have to go out. Well, we're gonna go out boots on the roof. We want to see the condition. And one roof system is not a cure-all for every situation. We do a lot of chemical blunt work, petrochemical. So you get different situations. And then you also have clients that they at another facility may have had a failure with something. So I want to bring this in, but we're not doing it. I've had another, one of our clients, they start accumulating and buying out other chemical plants. They had a couple buildings with brand new TPO roofs on. Well, their maintenance guys are putting step ladders up to go up and work on changing, doing different things with exhaust. He had 4 or 5 broken arms and collarbones in a pretty short time. We're taking brand new TPO roofs, plus, and coming back with an aggregate in there. So he had to mitigate the slip and fall. So we kind of, look at the situation, what we can design best. But then we also, what does our client does? The internet has made it probably difficult for us because you walk in, they already know what they want. But even though they think they know what they want, it may not be something that'll fit that facility.
And what's important to you? I also want to get this out there. What's important to you in working with a manufacturer? What do you expect of the manufacturer in order to start to work with them?
We just I want to know that if we have an issue, I can pick up the phone and I'm going to get somebody that's going to take it seriously. I share with Mark, I'm not going to name the manufacturer, but I had one that we had a material technical issue, and they just did a lot of lip service. Went across a bunch of years, and I was out about $100,000 out of pocket, and now they want to know in 10 years we have not bought a penny of them material. Well, do I have to turn the light on for you or what? We look for a manufacturer. I'm not looking for you to be there and hold my hand every day, but if we have an issue, or if I'm if we're going to put a new system on, can you give us somebody to come out to be there with the guys the first day? Just kind of a job startup, because that's so important. Because you get guys up there, even though they're the roofers and they should know what they're doing. If it's something new, or each manufacturer's always got that little thing they want to critique a little bit different. Boy, we get that on the job start, whether it's an hour, 4 hours, all day. Because we even asked that for new pieces of equipment. It makes the job go easier. And then once you get the buy-in from the guys, if they're out there and things go well, they bought in, now you're going to have no problem. They go out there and you're struggling, you tell them, oh yeah, we're going to put that on again next week. Oh, they call in sick. They get pretty grumpy.
I think roofing contractors have the longest memories ever. So once you're in that penalty box, Mark, what is important for you in working with your manufacturers?
Fishing trips.
You didn't hear me.
He's not here.
Like, fishing trip is the best thing going on.
I'll text him for him.
No, I agree with what you're saying is the manufacturer having the good knowledge, be able to come out and work with presenting a customer side by side, Anytime there's an issue, everything is taken care of. I'm going back to one that drove me nuts about 4 or 5 years ago. This Ryan did an inspection on the job we did, and he got they have bad news, Mark. I hope you're sitting down. I was like, oh God, what? You guys spot sprayed everywhere. So it took 2 more drums of material, 2-3 days more labor just to go back and fix it. That's part of it I come up with to take the guesswork out of it. But for manufacturer, what I would really like to see is adapting the warranties to be more like single-ply membranes, making an NDL all the way through just like the manufacturer. Even if you have to do like we do on like curb corners, give them that 30-year details. If you have fabric and different stuff or whatever you want, the mastics on the curb corners or the pipe rocks, leave it cure for a couple of days, come back and overlay it and get it again. I mean, that coupled with getting in front of these big organizations, associations, and presentations, and help us with better qualified leads. We're doing the similar thing that you're doing. Not many people in our area know and trust the roof coating, but we're sneaking under the guidelines. And as of now, we're just killing it. But what scares me again is shinglers and painters. But otherwise, for manufacturer, just having that
back in. Greg.
Well, basically, if a contractor can make it through the first 5 minutes with me, they've got their foot in the door already. But no, I'm pretty educated as far as I try to do my research, and Paul Shemel's been in business since 1919, so 106 years, and all of our distributors, all of our products, all of our manufacturers are really solely based on relationships. So I need a manufacturer that I can call up and say, hey, listen, I got a problem. I got to trust that they're going to answer the phone. I'm not going to get some call center. I'm not going to get passed along. And we're not always needing necessarily the biggest name in the industry, but we're needing the best name that we can put our name on. A lot of our customers, we've re-roofed multiple times. We have relationships going back decades. So I have to have a product that will match with the type of business that we are. We're putting our name on it. Everybody in Northwest Wisconsin knows the quality of work that Paul Shemel does, and they come to us knowing that they're not going to get the shinglers or the painters. They're getting somebody who's, if it's a 20-year YK, they're going to be able to pick the phone up and get it answered within our rules within the first 2 rings. So if you're going to get somebody, you're going to get the right person. Likely you're going to get me. But that's really what steered me towards. We're an E38 exclusive installer. Have no desire to go anywhere else. Really based on that sole relationship that Ryan's developed with me. And to this point, Ryan asks me to golf all the time, but I'm not a golfer, so.
Ryan can't fish, so I'm guilty.
I got and everything. Just get in the boat, right?
It sounds like you've got a wish list on over here. Okay, Sean.
As far as choosing a manufacturer, yeah, it's going to be the relationships, the terms, or banks, things like that we have with other manufacturers and distributors. When determining a roof type, is not every roof is a candidate for coating. We all know that. Our estimators are required to go core every roof, the high side, the low side. If there's anything wet, we're going to fly a drone, do an infrared, and see. But we don't choose a roof before we inspect a roof. Because again, not every roof is a candidate for coating, just like every roof is not a candidate for single ply. So it's mostly up to our estimators all Friday.
And you're certified by a lot of people.
Correct.
Yeah. As you know, good. Okay, if you have questions, go ahead and ask. I'm going to keep going because we've got a lot of time here. But Sean,
let me follow up what Sean just said. So you said not every roof's a candidate. Who's qualifying the roof? Do you bring in consultants to help you qualify that, or are you able to have your own infrareds? Or
we do. We have our own that RCMA go. 8 of our estimators are FAA drone pilots, and they can all read an infrared, so they fly the roofs. As far as determining if it's a candidate for coating, I typically will ask one of my manufacturers to come in. I have that knowledge since I used to be a rep, but I always confirm with the manufacturer first. I'll ask them to come in and walk the roofs with me. Hey, I'm looking at this as a candidate for coating. What do you think?
Okay, productivity. One of the things that we talked about is with the labor shortage and everything that's going on, that coatings is a good solution for that to help move things through, also during material shortages like we talked about before. But what do you see around, starting with Sean, what do you see around increases in productivity or help with your labor, skilled labor, by using coatings?
Yeah, it is a skilled labor. We do train our guys. Our guys work 410s, and we save Fridays for training. You know, whether it's weather day or training, that's typically when we do those. That's why also I'm using 90% silicone, like Alexi was talking about, the labor. I could put down 2 gallons of square in one pass, so I can get my 20-year warranty in one pass. It's a huge labor savings. That's kind of why we steer away from acrylics. But anything we can get from manufacturer that saves labor is huge. We're spraying Graco 900s. We got like 8 of those. But looking at this machine, it's very interesting to me. We're absolutely talking about that. Anything we can do to save labor just makes us more competitive, especially on the coating side. Okay.
I guess as far as labor savings and stuff like that, all of our single ply crews run between 5, 6, sometimes 7 guys. Our coatings guys are running 2 to 3 guys, and the amount of squares that they're able to accomplish in a day are far exceeds what we can do on a single ply side. So although I know we've talked a little bit about cost, I'm not looking at numbers, but you know, the good, better, best, our coatings is always going to be lower than a single ply. And so looking at the amount of customers I can serve, where our phone is always ringing nonstop, but I can never take down enough of that work. So being able to add the coatings in there for some of those customers, and looking at, you know, an example of a retrofit, an EPDM retrofit versus the coatings, I can get that customer taken care of with an apples to apples product, as far as manufacture back, the whole nine, and I'm able to turn more jobs throughout the course of the year, which ultimately ends up in more dollars, you know, more profit dollars, more customers, more everything across the board.
Excellent. Okay, Mark, this is your chance. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but what do you need about productivity and on really the labor savings and coatings?
Well, I guess what we develop, it's patent pending, but it's 8-foot wide span. We could spray acrylic, typically all we use on metal ropes with our machine, and it makes the job so much easier. Being diversified like everybody is, you get into the manual labor for the big heavy tear-offs, the nasty pinch tear-offs, that type of thing. You look at your work comp rates, injury rates. We've got like 0 injury rates with the roof coatings because it's easier, faster. But for the labor savings, we do 95% of our coatings with that machine. We've got 2 of them that we've manufactured so far. We just use them for ourselves.
Yeah, a quick question I wanted to ask you about that, and we as we come around, but are there things that the manufacturers can do with their products that work better with some of this new technology and these new machines? Are there changes that need to happen there?
And I have had a couple of discussions where if the manufacturers get into these big plants, I mean, massive amount of square footages. And when I started 18 years ago, I had asked the question, what's the biggest failure in the roof coatings? It was the roof wasn't getting cleaned up. Right. And I carried that up until about 5 years ago. I asked the question again in discussion, what's the biggest failure in coatings? And they're not putting the mill thickness down properly. it's and I'll go back to our discussion. Ryan and I have a lot of discussions because of our relationship, and it's just like, why if a manufacturer gets into the biggest manufacturing plants, why do you not have a master certified applicator and you only bring those people in to do that? You cannot bring a person in, what I call the willy wand. You go up there with a pressure washer type wand and you're up there splashing material everywhere. And you got 8 mil here, you got 20 mil here, you got 40 mil over there. That's what we got caught on in that building. That's why I thought, you know what, I got to take this out. It drives nuts. Because the profit in the roof application, the coatings, is huge. But it's not that great if you have to go back and fix what you've already done. You're wasting added labor hours, added material. So it's certifying somebody with the right equipment, with the right knowledge, versus having a guy go up there with a wand, spring a 100,000 square foot building, and they have a failure, and then the reflection back on everything. I might want to hug you because that's
Right?
Well, man, I'm signatory coming out of Chicago, so I'm bringing a labor rate that's probably in the stratosphere compared to these guys. So we are looking for productivity. But what we've also found is, especially with the coating systems, and kind of to what Tracy says, we have specific guys that run service. You don't take your production guys and put them in service, because if you want to make sure you're going to go back on the same problem, put the guys that like to run and gun all day. Now, we got guys that go out there and they'll knock out big squares. Don't let them go out. And the same thing comes with coating. Those guys have trained. There's guys now, I think you go back in our shop, and there's guys that got their crew name on the spray rig. What's going on? They're all the same. They like that piece of equipment. They know, and they know how it works. They would rather have it. So we try to make sure that the guys that are trained to systems, if you want to succeed, those guys want to make it happen for you. But if you're trying to intermingle, continually taking a single fly guy over here, built up guy, you start moving them around, we look at it, you're going to end up in a bad situation, because labor gets expensive for me real fast. So we look at it, and then, it's like was said, it's train. It just seems like you can't get enough of it. I was a trustee in our apprenticeship, and I would tell my guys, hey, get a day, get 2 buildings. I don't know if you've been there. I haven't you? No.
Been to.
You go out there anytime and train. Or we let them come in. If you guys want to come in, we've got mock-ups in the back. Please, because you get better at it. You become more proficient at it, and it helps us in the back end. But
Heidi, one other thing I kind of wanted to add to what these things are talking about is overall productivity and expenses on the coating stuff. When you're looking at the business as a whole, a roofing company, you don't have the gravel carts, you don't have the tear-off carts, you don't have as much setup, you don't have the need necessarily for a crane on every single job. So when you're looking at accruing money for either maintenance or replacement of equipment, stuff like that, that end of your dollar amount you got to accrue for a coatings crew is significantly less than a single ply crew or anything else, just in the vast number of equipment, maintenance, oil changes, all of that stuff. So it goes much further than just the labor aspect of it, I believe.
Like you're going to make me think of all that ass that I got. Like, that's not rim parts, brains.
Looking at it from the viewpoint of the building owner, is number one is the coatings in Minnesota. It's still tax deductible. It's still service, tax deductible. Number two, though, we hear once in a while, God, we didn't even know anybody was on our ring. We've been up there for a month. And so it's not intrusive, and they love it.
That's smart. That's smart talk.
Yeah. Quick question.
Hit it harder.
What do you do? Oh, okay. All right, well, great. Quick question for the panel. So I'll go ahead and ask the sinful question in this room. If you're in a bid situation and it's a clean TPO, clean metal, no water in the substrate, have you guys had to bid on, like, say, primerless applications, like no primer in those situations? Have you seen that in the marketplace? Do you come across that, you know, as you're in a competitive bid situation? And what are your thoughts as far as that goes?
I haven't done any primaless bridge coatings. We've done primaless deck coating systems, so I can see where a urethane may work. But we always want primal bridge coating.
What we find is you get into a bid situation, and if there's no consultant involved, you're not. Before it was bidding, we're all bidding 4 different systems. So now you got an owner that's sitting there and he's got this big question mark. What do I do? And I'm going to then count on my manufacturer to come in and say, you know, this is why we're looking at doing it step 1 through whatever.
Yeah.
And that's also why you're going to see a warranty on it. To go, Mark had said, you know, certify that contractor. He's made the financial commitment to you to put the sprayers out there, to put the crane on the job, to get everything out there, whatever it takes. Because we all lose work to the, as we call them in Chicago, the truck in the truck. And those guys, my bigger concern, Mark and I talked about it earlier, is that's the quickest way from this industry to get a big black eye that's going to be hard to recover from.
Sure.
Because the owner only knows one thing. I put a coating in, it failed.
Yeah.
And then we all walk in there and say, well, this is where we're at. Now this is what's going to take to remedy that. It becomes a challenge.
We typically, if we get into a situation where we're 100% not sure, our first phone call is to our rep. Try to get him back into the, even when you're taking your bid in, to explain everything. This is what we're doing. The rep, the manufacturer, it looks at every project that we've worked out together as they own that building. They own that roof is theirs now. That's exactly the way we look at it. And I've explained to all my employees is we go up and touch a roof that should not ever be coated. You best know that we're going to end up re-roofing it for him for free. That we own that thing. They'll go back to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer is going to look at us. We don't do a free walk with them. They go, what in the hell are you guys thinking? So we have not had any of those issues because we look at it, though, as we own that roof for the next, whatever the length of that warranty is. And going back to the one other about the architect, one thing that I've done, we've had a couple of local architects, and we did roof coatings on one guy's house, one architect. Another architect owns a couple of buildings. So we did a roof coating his building. I said, there, now you have your proof of the pudding on how they're going to work, because you can watch it. So.
We're getting short on time.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Possible, but I would say, again, going back to us being in business for over 100 years, I agree with the statement. I own that roof for the next 20 years if there's a 20-year warranty on it. But I also know that customer's going to call me back after that 20 years. So we're not going to install anything to cut a corner. And I would say that it would maybe be something one of my competitors would do to cut a corner. And ultimately, if the customer's looking at dollars and cents and they decide to go with this, we all know, we're all educated to know that, you know, by priming that or doing the proper steps ahead of time, that will still last longer. So I might not get awarded that job right now, and that's fine, because ultimately that's going to come back, and I'm going to be getting a second call saying, hey, listen, I had this guy come in here. I know you were part of the project. In building owners, maintenance managers, those people are changing all the time. So it doesn't matter if somebody else comes in and puts a lesser system on. When the next person owns it, they're not necessarily always going to know who put that on, and they're going to pick in a phone call up and say, oh yeah, I did that 10 years ago. If they would have gone with my bid, it'd still have 10 years of warranty left. So, and that's where some of that comes out. So.
So, you just said warranties. So just really quickly, and you said it earlier, making NDL. I thought that was, and I hope that was a great nugget for everybody. Let's start with the importance of warranties, and really also the recoat warranties, and how I kind of skipped over the service and maintenance, how that's all working together for you. And Sean
was going to give the service, or are you talking just
warranties overall? Yeah.
20-year NDLs, just to be competitive. Also in Texas, coatings are considered a maintenance item, so that means it's 100% tax deductible to the owner that year. It's not amortized over 39 years like a typical re-roof is. That's an easy selling point for us in Texas and probably up here in Minnesota as well. If a guy's trying to sell a building, knows he needs to do something with this roof, we can coat it for you. You can write it off, flip the building, and the warranty goes with it. So that's a big deal for us. In our service department, they need products that are going to be able to put down on a wet roof, because typically it's an emergency repair. It's raining, that roof is leaking. I need to be able to go out there and put down my material on a wet roof as a temporary repair, knowing I'm going to come back and do the permanent repair. And there are manufacturers obviously in this room that have those materials, and that's where our service team uses mostly when it comes to coatings. But if it's a small coating job, like typically less than 10,000 square feet, that is something that our service crews will typically handle, because I have waterproofing specific service crews. Those guys will typically handle a small coating job, typically, especially if it's metal.
Great. Any warranties?
When it comes to warranties, I guess we're always playing that good, better, best thing. And so I'm reaching out to Ryan. Ryan's walking the rough with me, and we're taking a look at it and saying, okay, what can a manufacturer offer? If it's a 10, if it's 15, if it's 20, and we've actually got some 20-year warranties that we've been able to install this year. And so I'm looking at that as right in line with our single ply stuff offering a 20-year warranty. So as far as warranties, like I said, we're looking at an apples to apples. It's just a different in cost to the customer and maybe a few different changes. But even the next warranty, we're already kind of able to know. Ryan's got enough experience in the industry to know, well, listen, up front, we might be able to do 20-year on it. But 20 years, if we got to do a re-roof on it, maybe it's a 10-year. So I'm able to have those negotiations and talk through that process with an owner, so they understand, the dollars versus the years that they're getting out of their different options.
Is that excellent, Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah, the manufacturer, I already kind of went through the relationship, the trust in the products, and mainly when you go up there to assess that building, make sure you do assess it properly. If there is any questions, your rep is right there.
Today, right?
I got to ask manufacturers, why 20? I started, and this is going to age me, they were 2-year warranties. Then they went to 5, then 10, then 20, now 30. As a contractor, and I talk to other guys like through CRC, we'd like to see the manufacturing go back to 5 with renewable 5s.
Right, yeah.
Why 20? No, because I look at, the architect, if you look at when you're bidding a project, the architect goes out and the general contractor's got a 1 year. But before he's going to pay me by any of my retention, I got to supply him with a 20. I just keep going, why 20? But we're also guilty. We're putting 20-year NDLs on all day long with all the single ply guys and the BUR not bid guys. And I just, I don't know. I'd like to hear from you guys. Why 20? Did you just chase the market because that's where everybody else was going and you had to do it to stay competitive? Or, is there a chance where nobody's going to take that first step because they're going to shoot themselves in the foot?
That's a great question, Rod. I ordered 20 myself. More than likely, it's the market creating it. The building owners are asking, the contractors are coming to us, and if I don't do it, one of my competitors is going to do it. That's probably the easiest thing to say right there.
100%.
The other thing to warranties, if I always would see a building owner rather sign a maintenance contract with you, because that's going to be more helpful for all of us. For us, for obviously the building owner and for the contractor as well. It creates that work for you. The building owner is getting more boots on the roof to make sure things are taken care of in a timely manner, which is going to take care of things whether they're warranted or non-warranted. That's my short answer.
I think maybe too, if you read cover to cover a warranty, an owner stack it, you'll see that there's requirements in there. Now, we all know that owners aren't reading that, and they're calling us 10 years going, geez Louise, I got a curb corner that's failing. Well, When's the last time I ran the roof? Oh, 10 years ago when you put it on. Okay, well, in your warranty documents say that you have to have annual inspections. You have to have some of these things. And I think that I know, again, I work with 838, but if there was a more definitive owner's packet to be able to supply with those, it's not necessarily that we're putting a roof on, walking away and saying, see you in 20 years. We all know that there's incidental stuff, that there's wear and tear, that weather kind of plays on some stuff, and that there is a maintenance that has to be handled on that. And so I think that's maybe another reason why maybe some of that fine print is getting changed to help those manufacturers achieve that 20-year. Plus, that's where the market's tracking it.
Well, I know when we send the warranty package, we highlight that section. So when because I still don't see it. When they send it, they don't. But then I've been to too many Stephen Phillips presentations, and as he says, that warranty's ready. Marketing does it, and then the attorneys get hold of it. So there's 1 inch of what you guys are going to cover, and there's 10 inches of how you're going to get out of it. So it is for both, I think, the manufacturers, because you got to look at this partnership. We have to educate the people that are buying the roof, but we also need help from you guys is to say, hey, just because it went on and you've got this piece of paper that says it's good now till whenever, there are some requirements, and the roofer needs to get up there and take a look at it.
What we did is backed off, mainly because of my service director who also handles our coating division. We backed off, and I've only been doing 10-year systems. A couple of different reasons is they'll lose the warranty. The building changes ownership. You have numerous hailstorms that go through. God only knows who's been on the roof doing what to it. So we like to limit it back to a 10-year warranty. We started 18 years ago. We just did our first recoat last year. The roof was 17 years old. Not one roof leak on it. It's 17 years. So we did our first recoat last year. But we dropped back to a 10-year warranty, and we explained to the customer why. We give him all of those reasons. You're going to have hail. You're going to have different clouds up there doing different things, depending on what Mother Nature gives us for winters and hails and stuff like that. And we explained to him that nobody's going to remember what happened on your roof for the last 10 years, except for us if we're maintaining it. That's another reason talking about the service work in a prior meeting is getting those service contracts. So we just tell them, all right, first 2 years warranty is up on the contractor because of the workmanship. What we're going to do is after that 2 years is you give us X amount of dollars, we are going to come up and do a service contract for every year. That way at that 10th year, guess what? You're getting that call. You could start talking to them and informing them and giving them a budget number to do a recall. So, I mean, like granted, they have the 20-year NDLs. Products are very good. I mean, we saw one that was 17, 18 years old, but it only had a 10-year warranty on it. It was still working, performing, but boy, it was aired. But we just went back to a 10-year and we explained why. Competitors are offering in 20-year. We tell them it's an overkill. So, and I don't know if we lost any work yet because of it.
Thank you all. I mean, this is just so invaluable. I want to, because we are getting to the end, I would like to just make sure, are there any questions that you all have on any topic that you would like to ask? So to get those in before the end, yes.
Yeah, guys, so we want to sell more with coatings, and it sounds like you guys want to sell it. There's a lot of motivation there. What if there was a standardized, web-based type of review of the use of roof coatings, how to prepare a roof, the different types of chemistries of coatings? Is that kind of a standardized web-based thing? Could you use that like at the Chicago Archdiocese and say, hey guys, go to this website, you can look at this, review this, it's non-biased.
They're architects, you got to drag them. I think there's still somebody's going to do it. It's just like if you bought a brand new car, you don't want to tell, well, just go to the website and check out and see what's covered. No, before I sign on the paper, I want to know what's covered on my car.
I'd rather do a lunch and learn sell. We'll set up, we'll do a PowerPoint with it, show them how to prep it, watch it. And I say that facetiously, but sometimes these architects, you almost have to drag them through for them to pay attention on. So we kind of pick in the wintertime, and we've already been informed that they're going to hire a couple new architects. So I'm thinking that they're going to really need it. So we'll just figure out and either go in there and do a 1 hour to our luncheon or bring them to, bring them to our office and let them see what's out there. These are different kinds of material. Sometimes it's invaluable to get them up on one that's in process. We found that when you're trying to sell a coating job, if you got a nice size one going, bring those prospective people up to see what's going on. I think somebody had mentioned earlier, when they see the lesser amount of disruptions to their day-to-day operation, this is pretty good.
Check. I'm George from Dow. So thanks, guys, for this panel. I always enjoy the panel, but this is more just an encouragement. I know you have some relationships, a couple of you with Ryan or whoever. Stay connected with us because the coatings technology is constantly evolving and changing. So the one thing that struck me about 10 slides ago, there was a picture of a roof where it looked like you laid down concrete pavers or some kind of walkway to help people walk to Frank's to Breach. That could be done with a coating, right? You could, and how much faster would that be to just spray a walkway as opposed to laying down concrete pavers? So just one example. Just stay connected because things are improving every day.
A lot of time on new construction, the paver will be spec'd as well. So, maybe on a re-roof application, something like that, but a lot of times they're going to spec what they want for a walkway paver. So you got to make sure you have something that aggregate or something for slip resistance.
Yeah, that's usually that's usually part of it. Yeah.
That'd be fantastic.
Right.
So how do you speak to, I guess, so when I get into the consultant community, it tends to be a little bit of a battle because consultants get paid on the full cost of the job. So how do we go as a team, as a partnership to the IBEX of the world, to the local AIA societies and help them understand that although you might be a $300,000 job instead of a $700,000 job, you're going to maybe get 10 for those projects instead of only one. How can we as a team help get through that barrier? Because for us as a manufacturer, it's getting difficult to really get past that. And I find that the most luck I have is going in with the great cases of the world, Mark Baldwin's, and as a battle together. But can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, that goes back to where I said that I think your main point of influence on getting a job or speccing a job or anything is going to be that building owner or that maintenance manager. Because if they're looking at doing something else and they're hiring an architect, we all know that the customer ultimately has the last say. And if they're sitting down with an architect and they're saying, "Oh, the architect's going, no, we ain't messing with that stuff," but the owner says, "No, I want this spec." They have the control to kind of twist the architect's hand or the spec writer's hands to say, well, we need to involve this in the spec because this is what the customer wants. And so that's where relationships that we built as roofers with those people, it would be easy enough to connect, to have you guys be a part of that, to help us sell them that roof, but then it's that follow-up when those instances come to writing spec for new additions or new facilities or whatever it is, a re-roof application. So
I would think too with some of these bigger funds, because I know we did some benchmark work and a couple of the other big guys, I'm sure they're feeling the same downward push on pricing that we feel as contractors. You walk in and the people are saying we were paying X, Y, and Z, but now budgets are that. And is it a selling where the contractors and the manufacturers walking hand in hand as a partnership and say, hey, you've got this client, you're looking, they may come to you or come to me, hey, what can we design to get into this price range? And where we can come in as a partnership, walk in and do it. Because those cubic dollars out there, we like to think that, they're just going to keep spinning in. But they feel as things get tighter, they also feel that downward push on it, where they've got to come in and put a system together that's going to fall within somebody's price range.
Just thinking about what you're asking, Ryan, is if you were able to go into a consultant, granted they get paid off of the top dollar that they can get, and we've got some architects around or consultants around, they add in a forest of woodwork to decorate the building prettier. It's a huge lift on the cost of what that roof is versus what it could be. What I was wondering is if you add more of a spray product that you don't allow every contractor to install. It's more of a specialty. As long as they have that specialty word, double the price on it. Raise the price. Now, one thing that I always come back to, because some people hear of the margins that we're getting on our work, is, don't you feel guilty about the margin? It's like, wow. I've always wanted to meet the guy that always said, you should only have 25% margin.
Mark.
What do you think, guy?
Mark, I'm going to play back. You just got to be careful about talking about price on any level. So it's okay, but just I got
It's just an idea, but more on the product or a specialty product.
Yes.
There's what you think was right.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. The idea is awesome. I just have to keep us legal. Okay. We have one more question right here.
Yes. So, hi, I'm Madison. I also work with Dow, so we provide a lot of the raw materials that go into the roof coatings. And I know sustainability is always front of mind for us. It sounds like in this conversation, it's pricing, performance, but then also the service. So I'm curious, is sustainability coming up in the conversations that you're having with these contractors? How would you rank it compared to some of those other factors?
We're saying if you read sustainability, you got to have a document with your proposal for some of the big private universities now, where in fact that's usually going to be in the header of your bid invite is, are you prepared to have the documentation for sustainability? And then they're also asking for waste issues, especially on tariffs. How are you going to be handling your waste? What percentage is going to be recycled? So we're seeing more and more that it started with some of the private universities that are in the Chicago area. But if it's there, it's going to keep branching out. So I think it's going to become if you're going to be just an uneducated contractor, you're going to fall behind because it's out there and people are paying attention to it.
Going back to the sustainability also is the education part that everybody has to do is to educate the building owner. Don't let your roof get to the point of having to have it overlaid fully down out. If you're 3 years ahead of that schedule or 5 years, even 5 years, you install the restoration system, get that warranty on it, years out for a while, eliminate all the seams and they need the education so they don't have all the yardage and all the weight stored in the dumps and all the extra noise and headaches that go along with it.
Sean, so you were over here like you're
It's a common what they say. And in Texas, too, it's getting to the point where we have to declare our waste and where that's going. And so sustainability is a harder part of the conversation. We try to sell codes. Absolutely. We're not filling dumpsters. Exactly.
Great. Real quick.
We must be kind of cowboys here. I guess it's not. It's great, right? I mean, as far as that level, it hasn't quite come up in conversations with stuff, and but I agree with you guys with how they're expressing their concerns with it. And I know it's something that's coming. And I think we all that have stood here and said, looked at the feedback we've gotten from coatings from 20 years ago. In another 20 years, we're going to be having completely different conversations as this stuff advances. And in my opinion, granted, we got to get a little more years down the road, I think, to know the longevity of this stuff. But, with EBDM being such a huge player in our area, I'm looking at acrylic roof coatings as very similar to that as far as being able to expand and contract and move with that stuff. So overall, to say sustainability, I think, is kind of what we cost for. But
I think that is a great place to stop because I love it. Where are we going to be 10, 20 years from now? So that'll be the next question at the next panel. I want to say, thank you so much for your time today. This has been recorded. It will be on Coatings Coffee Shop if you want to get it to share it with other people. And I just so appreciate your interactions and everything. So thank you. And most of all, thank you all for being here and sharing your wisdom. Thank you.